When it comes to commercial snow removal, look to Tovar Snow Professionals. With the largest snow and ice management fleet in the Midwest, Tovar delivers top-notch commercial sidewalk and parking lot clearing services, even in winter's worst weather conditions. With their 24-hour live office staff, certified meteorologists, and personal service, they are leaders in professional snow removal. To get a free estimate for snow removal on your site, go to baseball.tovarsnow.com or call 844-GO-TOVAR. That number again is 844-GO-TOVAR. Tovar Snow Professionals, Chicago's snow plowing leader. Tovar is an equal opportunity employer.
We're Cubs fans helping Cubs fans at Stewart's Cubs Cave parties. Everybody's in for giving back to those in need. We're going to Club 400. Club 400. We're going to Club 400. Club 400. We're going to Club 400 Radio. All right.
Club 400 podcast is on the air. William, will you please speak into your damn mic because you sound like shit the last two episodes.
Really?
Terrible. You sound like you're in a damn closet.
Oh, I don't know about that. Hey, what's up, man?
You
It's
actually,
good to see you.
you actually sound better.
I sound better tonight?
You're coming
Yeah.
through pretty good now.
All right, good. Thank you.
Hey, what's going on? The Cubs, we are recording September 2nd right now. The Cubs are 21-14. That's what's going on, buddy.
What?
And
That's awesome.
we set,
Like 3-game lead?
I think it's more like a 3.5 game lead against the Cardinals, who have played like 8-9 lesser games than us. So it's a big thing. But Cubs,
You know
man,
why that's a big thing? Because they got so many doubleheaders on their schedule. It's tough to win a doubleheader. They're splitting all of them.
it
really
really
screwed
is.
up
And
getting
then you got 7 innings, you know.
Right.
So there's more extra inning games, and then you got the runner. It's a different type of year for sure. I'm enjoying
It's
it
fun,
though.
though. Yeah, it's definitely.
I love waking up knowing there's going to be baseball, and now we got football right around the corner, so that's even better, man. Now we got double guns going here, and then pretty soon we're going to have some playoff baseball. And it looks like the White Sox. Gosh, man, I'll tell you what, I'm staying away from the White Sox. You want to know why?
What is that?
They remind me of that hot chick, you know. You don't want to get too close to because you might start liking them a little bit, you know.
A little bit.
So I stay a little far away from them. I don't turn them on. I don't really pay attention to them because if I did start watching them, I might fall for them.
Here's the thing with the mighty Whiteys.
By the way, they're beating up on your Twinkies a little bit, buddy.
No, they're split so far. They split their series. Here's the thing with the mighty Whiteys. They have a sexy batting order. There's no doubt about it.
Sexy.
From top to bottom, all those guys can rake. No question. They've got 2 really good starters at the top of their order, and then it goes downhill from there. They were trying to get a starter, and at the trade deadline, it didn't happen. And I think they need one. And
They do, and they have the cash to go and get one.
Oh, they do,
Yes.
but they can't anymore now because the trade deadline has passed.
I'm telling you what, I would have done the same thing they did. I would have sat pat because you know what, this season, I wouldn't go all out for this season. It's just.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't. Not with the players they have on that team.
Oh, if you're
I'm
them,
talking
you're
long.
saying.
I'm talking long term. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking for almost anybody. Like this is a crapshoot year, you know.
Yeah, it is. There's more teams making the playoffs. Obviously, less games.
But it'll be fun
What a
when
difference.
when the playoffs start. It's gonna be awesome.
What a difference a week makes, though. Like, Minnesota had the best record in baseball. They lost 6 in a row, and now they're,
Well, see, that's the big thing. That's when we talk
Scratch and
about we talk about a 60-game season.
Yeah, that's a 10th of the season.
It's crazy. I mean, that's a nosedive in a 60-game season. You know?
Right. Yeah. No, it's fun. It's definitely fun. Hey, I got a question for you, though.
Sure.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
What beverage are Stu and William drinking tonight?
What are you drinking tonight, buddy?
All right. Last episode, I lied. I said I was drinking a Club 400 beer, and I wasn't. You actually were honest.
Right.
I lied.
What
So-
were you drinking?
Last week, I was drinking a Monaco, which is a seltzer. So I'm trying to stay healthy, William.
I know.
Because now
you are.
we got this baseball game coming up on September 19th, which we'll talk to you about later. Yeah. I'm trying to drink seltzer. I drink a lot of seltzer when I'm not drinking beer. because of the low carbs. But I stepped up a notch, William. I'm not just drinking like a seltzer, right? I'm usually taking about a shot or two of vodka on the bottom of the glass.
There you go.
Then pouring my seltzer over it.
Nice.
And then I hydrate myself at the same time I'm drinking. I'm a fucking genius, buddy.
So it's booze. It's hydrating. It'll mess you up a little bit, and it's fruity.
It's good. It's refreshing.
I think you're drinking lime tonight.
Well, dude, like the one I'm drinking right now is a lime, but I like black cherry. That's my go-to flavor.
Okay.
So I know like Paul Crowley loves seltzers. One of these days I want to do a seltzer a test.
Seltzer party.
Take like,
a test.
take like 5 or 6 black cherries or of the same flavor and just run through them and see which one's the best.
Nice.
Because now Coors Light has their own seltzer out. Have you seen that, William?
I did see that, yes.
So Bud Light seltzer is actually great.
I, by the way, am a man with a man card, and I'm drinking Club 400, the Ballpark Lager.
Let me tell you guys something. Thank you for setting me up, William. Today, on September 2nd, Crystal Lake Brewery has officially released their new, freshest batch of Club 400. Now, what is different from this beer from the last beer?
That's a great question.
I will tell you. This time they used a German yeast, which they've done before. Happens to be my favorite mix of
the German yeast.
Yeah, the German yeast. Now, the one they used before was what was it?
A Cantonese yeast? I don't know.
Forgot what it was.
We're going to have to call Clooney.
I have to call Ryan. Get Ryan on the phone.
Get him on the hotline.
I'll tell you what, Ryan doesn't answer the phone too much. He's not very good.
Club 400 Ballpark Lager is a beer for all 9 innings. Take me out to the ball game. This crisp, easy drinking lager is perfect for a summer day amongst the bricks and ivy. Crafted at Crystal Lake Brewing, this beer is clean and refreshing with minimal bitterness so that you can celebrate a W in style. From Club 400, Cubs fans helping Cub fans. This baseball brew can be found at most places that sell beer in Northwest Illinois or from Crystal Lake Brewing. Beer master Ryan Clooney. Enjoy a beer or 6-pack today, and please remember to drink responsibly.
I do feel a little bit like a NASCAR right now, the car itself. We got to shout out to all our sponsors. We're doing a lot of sponsor shout outs, but Tovar,
greatest.
400 beer.
Yep, sponsoring our baseball game. Did I tell you we're going to talk about that later, William? Can't wait. We got a baseball game coming up.
Brought to you by Crystal Lake Brewery.
Crystal Lake Brewery.
And, of course, our favorite shot on the planet,
Malort. So, William.
Yes, sir.
If you're going to go to a rooftop and really feel the share, where would you go?
Let's see. I think I'd go to the one in the corner.
1050 Waveland Avenue?
50 Waveland.
You talking about Wrigley View rooftops?
That would be where I would go.
That's WrigleyView.com.
Why, you asked, does it have the best view?
It has a great view.
It has a great view. I'm actually looking at it on the back screen of my laptop right now.
I wish I was there right now. I wish I was with Aiden. I wish I was doing a tequila shot with him.
Yeah, or Betsy.
We love Betsy.
I wish I was dancing on the bar with Betsy.
So check them out. You can call Mike right now, or you can just go to wrigleyview.com or call Mike if you want to get 10, 15, 20 tickets. 630-865-8828. Hey, there's not too many games left. Minnesota Twins are coming to town. We will be on the rooftop September 20th, the last Cub game at Wrigley Field for regular season, that is.
It will be amazing.
Are the Cubs going to play in a bubble? Is that going to happen, William?
For the playoffs?
Yeah. That's what I'm hearing.
I'm hearing
the Cubs are going to Texas, buddy.
You know, the thing about it is, does it really matter? Have we been seeing a huge difference with teams with being at home or on the road, given the fact that there's no fans? I mean, there's a little bit of difference for sure. Like a road trip is a road trip, and it's tiring no matter what. But I don't know. Are
these players going to appreciate the fans more than ever?
Oh, for sure.
I'm telling you what. I mean, the cool thing is, well, I don't know if it's cool, but the unique thing is that these guys are playing against each other, and they can hear. That's why you're seeing a lot of banter between each other. Yeah, there's some action going on out there.
All-star
Speaking
wrestling.
of that, the Cubs got into a little melee over the last weekend, which that game had a little bit all, including a Craig Kimbrell blow up. Guy is done. He's done, William. Put a fork in him. The whole experiment is over. He might put together a game or two, but I would not trust that guy anymore. See you later, Craig Kimbrell. It was nice to know you.
I totally agree. But
he might be the nicest guy in the world. I'm just saying he's done.
The Cubs did get a couple nice players, I think, at the trade deadline for not a lot of assets that they gave up. Cameron Maybin, he's a nice player.
For Zach Short.
Jose,
you know Zach Short, right?
Yeah.
He's on the Compound Ian Happ's podcast.
Right.
I guess they are welcoming all Detroit Indian Tigers fans to their podcast. But according to Ian Happ, he put out a tweet the other day. Hey, welcome Detroit Tiger fans to our Compound podcast, which, by the way, if you ever want to check out a great podcast, they actually have a really cool one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And they're still doing them during the season, which is pretty cool.
And then they got Martinez used to be on the Cardinals.
Yep. And then they got Andrew Chafin, who's a left-hand. They got a couple lefties. They got Andrew Chafin and Josh Oshitz. Oshitz, is that his name? Oshitz from the Boston Red Sox.
Last night, I think.
Yeah, he did. So the Cubs were busy at the trade deadline.
They also picked up today, I think it was after the trade deadline. I'm not really sure the details.
Waiver deal?
Yeah, waiver guy. It was A.J. Ramos.
A.J. Ramos, yes, they did.
Who's a relief pitcher, and he was with, I want to say, the Marlins, and he had 40 saves one year. So that might be a sneaky pickup. A guy that's closed before.
I like that. I like the Cubs' moves. They didn't spend a lot of money, but nor should they. This is not a year.
Or did they? They didn't give up a lot of AAA and AA talent either. So that's good.
No, I mean, I thought it was a very successful trade deadline. They didn't make a splash, but no one did really. But they added some different pieces they're going to come in handy for sure.
I know it feels like we bring this up every show, but I got to ask because, a couple of weeks have passed or whatever since we last talked about it. Is Bryant going to be with the team next year? And does it bother you if he's not?
Well, I mean, the only reason why he wouldn't would be if the Cubs trade him, but Bryant...
They can't keep the whole core.
Well, no, there's going to be some guys that are going to get moved. For sure. And you know what? This team's already starting to look a little bit different. I mean, Albert Almora got sent down to South Bend. Is he done with? And let me ask you this, William. As a Cub fan, or I mean, you're kind of a fucking Twinkies fan, but
no, I'm not.
Albert Almora. If he doesn't play another game with the Chicago Cubs, what are you going to remember Albert Almora for? What's Albert Almora's thing with the Cubs?
I would remember him for bartending at the Kerrywood event.
Oh, Jesus.
He made some plays in the run.
Well, I think he'll always go down as tagging up from first to second in the World Series, Game 7.
True.
As a pinch hitter for Kyle Schwarber. I mean, I don't know if you watch Cubs baseball, William, or what.
Ouch. I guess I would say I will remember him more as somebody who I thought was going to be a much better ball player.
I'll tell you what. I feel for guys like Almora because all he's known is baseball his entire life. I remember watching shows on ESPN, like they did pieces on him where his dad put a batting cage in the backyard, and I mean, baseball was his entire life. He's come this far, and he's achieved a lot of great things, but he just can't hit the ball.
Can't put it all together.
He can't hit the ball, and but the guy gives 105-10%, which doesn't even make sense when people say that. But
he does,
and he's a great guy, and he's always been good to the media in Chicago and the fans, and
well,
you want to root for a guy like that guy, no matter what.
You know what? Maybe sending him down will be the best thing. Look who I did not expect anything from Ian Happ. I thought he was done. coming into this year.
Ian Happ.
And he's been their best player.
Let's take a look at his line right here. I actually pulled out stats.
You got
tonight,
the
right?
line?
I got the line.
What kind of
right?
show is this? You brought the line with you?
First of all, one of the things that I was surprised at, he's still only 25 years old.
Does it not seem like he's been playing for 5 or 6 years? I know he hasn't, but
He kind of reminds me of Almora, but a guy that actually, was able to make adjustments at the plate. Because, he had a couple, he got sent down last year.
Yeah.
Got sent down.
The whole year.
And now look at his numbers. His OPS is 1.064. His slugging percentage is .643. His on base is .420. And his batting average is 304. The guy's doing it all.
He is raking.
I mean, every time I see Ian Happ, he's doing something awesome.
And there is something to be said about patience, because who's got the same story as this just a few years earlier? Javier Baez.
Who's having a brutal year, by the way.
He's struggling, but you know what?
But he's the guy. He'll come out of it.
Yeah, and he's still awesome
it's
in the field.
Small sample sizes here.
Right.
Even with Bryant, like if you fail in April for 30 games, it's not a big deal.
Right.
But if you fail in 30 games in a 60-game season, you're a bum.
Nice pick off by the professor, by the way. Yeah, we're live. We're live here at Wrigley Field.
We're live here at Club 400. William, it's about time you grab more than... So, William's been over here for 2.5 hours, and he's drank half a beer, and it's probably freaking warm, dude. What's your excuse?
I'm doing a podcast, Stu, and I'm serious about my craft. How about you? What's your excuse?
My excuse is it's Wednesday night, and the Cubs are playing, and we're doing a podcast, so I'm going to drink some beer,
All right, so we have a really good guest coming up here tonight.
Yes, we do. A great friend of Club 400, a guy I met through Club 400. Let me tell you guys. Let's just talk about what we are and who we are. We do it all the time, but we are a family of Cub fans. Cub fans helping Cub fans. And tonight's interview is a guy I met, like I said, here at Club 400. We bonded right away because he started a charity himself, and we'll talk about his story tonight. Mike Gomoll. Also went to fantasy camp with him, and just a great friend, a great guy. And Joey Song. Joey Song is a charity to fight epilepsy. So we're going to bring Mike on here, and I want to say thank you, all you guys out there. Keep going. Keep purchasing the Club 400 lager, right, William? Maybe you'll drink more than one once in a while, but that's okay.
Right after we're done, right after we hit stop, I'll start pounding.
All right, so here's our interview with Mike Gomoll of Joey Song. We'll be back next week with another episode. Appreciate you guys, and hopefully by then the Cubs will have another 5 to 6 victories, and we'll be talking about the playoffs, and it will be awesome for sure. Thanks for listening, guys. Here's our interview with Mike Gomoll. Mike, thanks for coming on the Club 400 podcast, man. I think the last time you were on was when we did the fantasy camp review.
It was, and I think I was still sore from fantasy camp the last time we did that.
And you're calling us from God's country? Is that correct?
North of the border. I'm up here in Madison, Wisconsin, where it's always sunny and the beer is always cold.
There's no doubt about that.
You gotta love Wisconsin. Props to Wisconsin.
Love everything about Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except their sports team.
Wisconsin's a drinking town, and if
it's a drinking state.
It is.
Well, and it's really just one big town of drinking, so it's both of those things. Yeah.
And
it's a state of being.
And I've personally never met anybody who got arrested after a Cubs game in Milwaukee, downtown. Water Street is the place to be. I love Milwaukee.
Yep.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the entire state has bar culture for all of the positives and negatives that go with that.
And you know what? I totally missed not going down there this year. Hoping to go down next year for sure. But, so speaking of
with opening day this year, too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And all that, we were going to actually go to see Kenny Chesney at Miller Park, which the Miller Park concerts are awesome. The tailgating before is obviously where it's at,
Yeah, those are professional tailgaters there.
All the concerts and the music scene up in Wisconsin is the best.
Well, Summerfest, the
Summerfest is the best.
largest musical festival in the world.
Right.
You know.
Yes, they just announced that for 2021 it's going to go to 3 weekends.
Oh,
They're,
wow.
they're expanding it to 3 weekends. It used to be just 2 full weekends, kind of packed around 4th of July. Well, now it's going to be 3 full weekends. So it's going to be insane.
That will be totally insane.
They got to make up for this year.
Right.
I mean, that's the one thing. And Mike, before we start talking about Joey's song, I mean, Joey's song's all about love of music, combined with the charity. And I mean, that's one thing I've really missed is live music, and I'm sure you do too.
Oh God. Well, I will tell you, Stu, especially, it's even more, I miss it personally, but as we've been putting together this benefit that we're going to talk about later, I'm talking to all of these musicians. I talk to them multiple times a day, and they miss it because that's their livelihood, right? And, they're not able to do what a lot of them have been doing for the last 25 years, right? I mean, there's that avenue has been shut off. So I can tell you, as much as we fans miss the small venues and the big concerts and all that other stuff like we were talking about with Miller Park concerts and everything, or your local bar, with 2 guys and a guitar, but the guys that do that for a living miss it even more because, it's their blood. So I miss it, and I can tell you that they miss it too.
Yeah, a good friend of Club 400's Big Jimmy Wadilla of Jim and Justin and Modern Day Romeos just changed his Facebook picture to, there's a new background thing on the picture for all out of work musicians.
Right.
And he basically said the same thing. He's been doing that his whole life. He doesn't know what else to do. And, he said the worst part is once you get it to a point where it becomes your career and your livelihood, and he probably has 2 more kids since last weekend. I don't know. He's got a lot of little kids moving around, but, it's a shame. It's a shame for all those people, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about something else, Stu.
Well, yeah, we got
a couple events.
A couple things coming up with something that I wasn't even really. Well, Don Bino, who's been a fantasy camper for a long time, was putting out there on. We have 2 different pages, but this was the alumni page that they wanted to do like a pickup game of baseball, 9-inning pickup game of baseball. So they were talking about the thing was just starting to, a plan was coming into place, and our sponsor Tovar, Eric Hartman, kind of got in the mix. I was kind of staying out of it to see what was going to come of it, but Eric kind of got really involved with it, and then he called me up one night and he's like, "Hey, why don't we maybe move this thing out to the burbs and then have a party at Club 400?" So basically, what it was is we have about 20 to 25 campers from Randy Huntley's fantasy baseball camp. We are having a pickup game here in Huntley. And then we're going to come back to Club 400 and, have a little barbecue. And then after that, the next day, not everybody, but some guys are going to head out to the last Cub game of the year against your Minnesota Twins, William. And so it should be a great weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. Mike is on one of the rosters. I don't think, Mike, are you on my team or no?
I'm on the blue team. I don't think I'm on your team. I'm on the judges team.
So, yeah, I talked to Hartman, and he put out these teams and stuff. And I'm like, who the heck put these teams together, Oh, me and so-and-so. I think it was, I don't know who was involved with them, but he's like, we put everybody on a point system. I'm like, they spent like 2.5 hours putting these teams together. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, well, you know what? Our team's going to win because I know you didn't rate me as good as I should be,
Well, and for anybody listening that knows Hartman, he is the king of overthinking everything. And if he and Crawford and Bino were behind it, all the guys that were behind it, they can overthink picking up the bar tab. So that makes complete sense.
And so, yeah, we're looking forward to that. We're going to have umpires. William, you're going to do the play-by-play, I think.
Yes.
And the introduction. Wayne Mesmer is coming out, and he's going to do the national anthem.
Nice.
So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. I think everybody needs this. Sorry, there's no spectators allowed. No one can see me do the walk-off that day, but because of COVID, we're having but we're gonna have a great time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the guys more than anything because that's what it's all about, right, Mike?
Yeah, that especially since the odds that we'll actually be able to have one of Randy's camps this year are, between 0 and none. This is going to be a chance to get it. I think anybody, and if you wanted to go back and listen to the podcast where we talk about fantasy camp, everybody will tell you that week becomes more about the people than it does actually what goes on between the white lines. We all try hard between the white lines, but those people have that's one of the ways that I'm no Stu and everybody else, or that really solidified it. And there's a lot of folks that are now in my top friends list because we all, as Randy would say, we all strapped it on down in Arizona for fantasy camp.
100%, and that's what it's all about. It's about the relationships you meet, and going into what we're going into right now. I mean, Mike, I met you, I believe, through Club 400, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then we went, and then we did fantasy camp.
Correct.
But yeah, and Mike came to one of our events, and that's the wonderful thing. I've got the opportunity to meet so many different people, and then like Mike has his own charity, And I want to tell you something. Mike has always been the first guy to step up and donate to our events, and that's why we're going to talk about Joey's song tonight. And I really want Club 400 to get behind this event. But yeah, Club 400 was formed around baseball and my love of music, and that's why we have the club in front of it. That's where the club came from. So it was basically baseball and music. And Mike, I want you to talk to us about Joey's song, how it became what it is, and the story behind it.
Sure. Well, thanks, Stu. And again, thanks to you and William for having me on to do this. And I'll try not to turn this into a mutual admiration society, but Club 400's also raised their hand every time Joey's song needs some help and support. So we'll call it a little mutual back scratching. How's that? So I'll get the tough part out of the way first. I lost my son, Joe, in 2010. He had battled a very rare form of epilepsy his entire short life. It was just short of his 5th birthday that we lost Joe. And even when Joe was still alive, the form of epilepsy that he had just now, there are starting 10 years later, some relatively effective treatments coming out. But when Joe was still with us, the prognosis was not good. And we knew, he had a tough struggle ahead of him. But we also knew as a family, we should try to do something. And it's what has become one of the mantras of Joey's song today is to help the next family, right? So even when Joe was still with us, we thought about different ways that we could do it. The problem was, at that point, his brother and sister, who are now Gulf, as I say this, both off to college, were just, 9 and 10 years old at the time. So we had one very ill special needs child and 2, grade schoolers at home. Trying to figure out ways to raise money was just not in the cards. But after we lost Joe, that's when I, as Joe's dad, had a decision to make. And knowing the mantra of Club 400 and what we've been talking about, I had 2 choices shortly after Joey's death. I could either do what we did with Joey's song, or I could crawl permanently inside a bottle of Johnny Walker Red. And there are still days, even now, when crawling into that bottle feels like an alternative. But fortunately, I made the other choice, which was to try to start Joey's song. So back in my college days in the mid-'80s, I worked as a DJ, and I worked in a nightclub helping to book bands. So I had a music background and understood how the music business worked. And even though once I left UW-Madison, that life was behind me, I still had some contacts from over the years in the music business. And so when it was time to figure out what we were going to do to raise money, we decided on Joey's song. And just an insight, the reason that we call it Joey's song is because while Joey's Dravet, this form of epilepsy, had kept him nonverbal, he could sing in his own unique way and dance. And one of the things he liked was Elmo's song from Sesame Street. So it just seemed appropriate when we were looking to name the charity to call it Joey's song. So that's why we call it Joey's song. And so we decided as a family to start using music as a way to raise money to help find treatments and cures for epilepsy, as well as support programs and services to make the lives better for those battling it today. And so I'll do the first 5 years in kind of a condensed version. We started out by putting out CDs. But for those of you that have your musical timeline in your head, around 2010 is when people decided to stop buying CDs, basically decided to stop paying for music, and iTunes and streaming kind of came in. So I went back to lots of folks from my past, as well as just sending out emails to artists that I admired, and you start an email or a plea, my son just died, I need your help. Most people are going to say, how can I help? Now, they can't always help, right? It's not always something they can do in the moment, but everybody says, I can't do it now, let me help later. So we started by putting out CDs. We had some amazing folks contribute songs. We had the guys from REM, we had Roseanne Cash, we had the guys from Crash Test Dummies, we had Sam Yanis from the Bodines, just all sorts of, for your country music fans, we had Montgomery Gentry, we had Aaron Tippin, we had all sorts of folks that were able to donate what we called rare and unreleased songs. So either something they had recorded and never released, or an alternate version of a song, or some artists went in and recorded something brand new just for us. But those were a lot of work to put together, and we didn't really make a lot of money off of those. But every time we would release a CD, we would have a CD release party. And all of a sudden we were making 3 and 4 times as much on the CD release party as we were making on the CD. So I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but after a couple of years, kind of realized that maybe the way to make money is by putting on live events. And so from that moment going forward, Joey Song has really been, since about 2013, more about concerts than it has been about CDs.
Although you can still buy those on iTunes. I just did the other day.
Yes, you sure did. Yes, the CDs are still all available digitally. If you go to joeysong.org, you can get them that way. You can find them on iTunes. You can find them in just about every way possible. And we got them priced to sell. You can get each CD top to bottom with 15 songs for $2 a piece. So for
not even it was $1.99.
but see, that was you got the special friends and family.
Oh, cool. All right, good.
Yeah, everybody else has to pay
$2. Okay, good.
Yeah. I don't think you ever really, the evolution, basically of what you guys are doing right now with Joey's Song.
Right.
It's just kind of cool because you didn't really have a plan. Everything, just like Club 400. Club 400 was just going to be a place where I was hanging out with my friends and family. It was never meant to be for anything other than that, but it evolved. But it was interesting to hear about how you guys evolved and how you just kind of figured things out along the way. And that's exactly what we did over here, what I did, because I had no clue what the hell I was doing. But we threw that first live event with Tom Ricketts, and we had a great time, and we raised money, and then that was it from that point on. But I didn't realize that. Yeah, I didn't realize the evolution of it. That was a good story. That's awesome.
Well, the other thing too, Stu, I think that to keep in mind, and there's a reason why you and I are not just acquaintances, but we're friends, is we share the same willingness to make a mistake. So many people, I think, are afraid that they're going to get it wrong, and I take the philosophy of let's try it. And if we get it right, then we know we're onto something. And if we get it wrong, we'll try it in a different color or a different size next time, right? And I know that's very, when you look at what you've done at Club 400, the variety of types of things you can do, from the big backyard stuff you do with Javi, where you got 250 people at your house, to the more quiet, sedate ones that you do with one of the, the old timers. That's understanding your market, and that's saying, I don't have a plan for what this is supposed to be other than we're trying to do some good. And I think if you go into, especially when you're in the fundraising area like we're talking about today, you can't go wrong, because I firmly believe that if your aim is true, to quote Elvis Costello, and your cause is just, you just got to give them a reason to give you money, right? Because people deep down inside are good and compassionate people. Sometimes we lose that in today's world, but they are. And
sometimes we lose that in 2020, but they are.
Yeah. We lose it just by logging onto Twitter.
Right.
But you just got to give them a good reason to give them your money, and they'll do it. And that's the Club 400 mantra, and that's the Joey Song mantra.
For sure. For sure, yeah.
So-
and we're excited. Tell us about what you got coming up and how you had to evolve once again for 2020.
Yeah, no kidding. I am definitely the fish that crawls up onto land and starts breathing air, right? So what we had normally done,
Oh, by the way, before you start, I want to last year, because I think you blew me off that night. Mike gave me a bunch of tickets, and I headed out to Madison, Wisconsin, and I went to last year's Joey Song event, and I couldn't believe how. First of all, you had a great venue, old school Madison. What was the place name again, Mike?
the place is called the Barrymore Theater. It's an old 1930s style movie theater that's been converted into a music club.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, they put on a production. I mean, I'm talking about, they had, I mean, obviously your son stole the night, but I mean, they had different bands playing throughout the evening, but when they weren't playing, they had video productions up. They didn't waste any time. Like, it was from beginning till end, it was a show. And the music, they had Michael Cervantes from Hamilton out there who rocked it.
Yep.
It was, and he wasn't even the headliner. Who was the headliner, Mike, last year?
So the well, it's hard to say. So the headliner, and you can't see it because this is a podcast. So great job using your hands, Mike. But I'm making the little air quote sign. So our headliner every year is a group of musicians called the Know-It-All Boyfriends. So to tie my previous story into today, I mentioned that back in the 80s, I worked in the Madison music scene. Well, there was another fella kicking around that Madison music scene named Butch Vig. And to music people, Butch is on that pantheon of probably the most influential people from the 90s to the early 2000s in music. Butch has his own band, Garbage, which most people know, right, with Shirley in the lead, and they've run Grammy Awards and, top 10 hits and all that. But Butch is also a record producer. So for you guys out there that are children of the 90s, probably several of your favorite albums from the 90s, Butch was the producer behind. He produced Nirvana's Nevermind, Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream, Sonic Youth, Dirty, just all, he's called the godfather of grunge, right? So all of those things. He still works with Dave Grohl today on the Foo Fighter records and is still producing all sorts of stuff, Silver Sun Pickups and all these bands. Butch is still a busy fella. So Butch and I were kicking around that Madison music scene in the 80s. And so what we would do when it came time, when, again, the light bulb finally went on for me, and I realized that live events were the way to go. And Butch and I had gone two separate ways. I went off and, had my life, and he went off to Grammy Awards and MTV Video Awards and, gold records. And he produced a record with Paul McCartney, all the stuff that you do when you're Butch Vig. But we got reintroduced. Garbage did a big reunion show here in Madison, probably in 2013. Probably 2013, at the local minor league ballpark, 10,000 people, sold out show. And some mutual friends said, I went with, said, come on, let's go talk to Butch. And, we got reacquainted, right? In 5 minutes, 30 years melted away. And so what Butch and his crew, some friends of his, including Duke, who's the guitar player in Garbage, and my pal Freddie Johnson, who's had hit records, have this kind of side project is far too glamorous of a word. They call themselves the Know-It-All Boyfriends. And they basically play each other's weddings and anniversary parties. They're all professional musicians of acclaim, but they basically spend the night playing 70s and 80s covers, And I said to Butch, we were trying to figure out a way to get involved. They said, why don't we have the Know-It-All Boyfriends kind of play, for those, again, of a certain age, like Paul Schaefer in the World's Most Dangerous Band from Letterman, and serve as the house band, right? And we'll bring through all these guests that will come in, play with you guys, play a couple of their songs, do a couple covers. So it kind of has that, and that's kind of, I think, Stu, why it had that kind of wild air to it that you mentioned. It feels like a frat party. I mean, the musicians are on stage already having one too many of various substances. The audience, by the time the headliners come on, because it is Wisconsin, are pretty well oiled up as well. And we just bring out all these different guests. So through the years, we've had Sam Yannis from the Bodines, We had this past year, as you mentioned, we had Miguel Cervantes, who was at the time the lead in Hamilton and Chicago. Since then, he has now taken the lead. He plays Alexander Hamilton on Broadway. When Broadway finally opens back up, it'll be Miguel in that starring role. We also had Chris Collingwood from Fountains of Wayne, Brian Ray, who's, you may not know his name, but his day job is he's been playing guitar with Paul McCartney for the last 20 years. So he's Paul's guitar player, and he plays bass when Paul picks up the guitar. And Brian in the past played with the great Etta James. So lots and lots of folks. So the night is those people coming on, playing a couple rock and roll songs, and then for the last 2 hours, people just trading instruments, sitting in, they kind of post a set list, and anybody that knows the song kind of comes up and plays.
Yeah, it's like an old school jam. It's awesome.
It is, and it really is. It's what you hear, and I can tell you, they take the day before and they rehearse, and rehearse is probably, again, too great of a word for what it is. They kind of try to figure out the song. Well, I'll tell you one story. Do I have time?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So they were rehearsing last year, and the way that we find our studio space in Madison, and kind of the boyfriends all set up, and the various guests that are come in and out, throughout the day, and they work through their 2 or 3 songs, and it takes an hour or two to rehearse those songs. Well, as they were breaking down after 8 hours of rehearsal, Alex, the keyboard player, started playing the riff from the Cars song Drive.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And he just started playing it. He just must have been. And Corey Chisel, who's one of our guests, who is going to do something amazing this year at the event. I'll talk about that in a minute. Corey started singing along with it, and Butch then got back behind the drum kit and started drumming to it. And everyone was putting their gear away and unpacked their gear. And in about 15 minutes, they worked through it. It was one of the big killer songs the very next night. It was nothing they had planned. It's just because Alex started fiddling around with the tune, and 20 minutes later, all these professional musicians had it figured out. They had the vocals figured out, and the next night they just killed it on stage with that song. So
that's funny. Stu sings that song most nights he goes out. Who's going to drive me home tonight?
yeah. Who's going to tell you when things aren't so great?
Exactly.
I'll tell you what. I went last year to the show by myself. I did meet Josh Clark there, my guy. I love Josh Clark.
Yeah.
But I didn't see him right away, so I walked into this place, and I'm like, part of the thing I believe in life, you got to act like you belong there, and then if you act like you belong, right, then you can go do a lot of things you never thought you could actually do. So I'm like, I'm going to go backstage. I'm going to go hang out with Mike. I'm going to have a cold beer with Mike. So I walk in there. I was like, holy cow, this place is great. And I walked, I'm walking down there, and I'm like trying to find the side of the stage. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? Well, actually, I didn't even say nothing. I just started walking right past the guy, right? Like, act like I'm supposed to be up there, right? Hey, sir, what are you doing? Hey, I'm up there with Mike. Whoa, I haven't seen you tonight. I'm like, no, I'm up there with Mike. Seriously, I act like I was totally bullshitting the guy. The guy did not buy it for a second. He's like, yeah, you got to get over there, man. There's too many people back there already. And that was before COVID, for crying out loud.
Wow.
So Mike's got top of the line security at his show too, by the way. But
good to know.
Yeah.
Well, part of the reason we got that back there. So now I'm going to tell you another story, and then we really will get to this year's event. So because a lot of the musicians, fly in and they don't want to carry a lot of stuff. They send me their guitars ahead of time. So Paul's guitar player, Brian Ray, has his own, because he's Brian frickin' Ray, has his own signature Gibson SG guitar that retails for about $9,000 if you buy it retail. Well, he's got his own custom version of it, which he shipped to me. And, I was nervous. He shipped it out about a week ahead of time, and it's sitting in my house, and I'm nervous as hell that, the dogs are going to pee on it or something. But my point is, everybody back there's got all this expensive gear, right? So part of the reason is everybody wants to get backstage and hang out with them. But, there's, $100,000 worth of guitars and drums and keyboards and stuff back there, because none of these guys play the kind of instruments that you find at Guitar Center. These guys are all playing that. And so Brian then left the guitar with me when he flew back on Saturday, and I packed it back up, and I pretty sure I would not have packed the Queen's Crown Jewels any more secure than I packed up that guitar to send it back to Brian. And I had the tracking number, and I was, the minute I saw that it hit his house in L.A., I texted him, bring it. But anyway, that's the other reason, Stu, why we have the tight security, because, those guys are playing with the high end stuff.
Yeah, that's obvious that you need to make sure everything's okay there.
Yeah.
So this year's let's talk about this year's event, and more specifically, how could we? Well, I mean, I got some ideas. We got to figure some things out because it's coming up. What is the date of the event, Mike?
Yep. So September 16th at 7 p.m. Central Time, it will be broadcast. So like everybody else, we have had to take our event online, right? Because there ain't nobody getting together in clubs. And the event this year was supposed to be at a 2,500 seat venue, right? We were upgrading everything this year, and there's no way you're getting 2,500. I mean, none of the clubs are open. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Last night was that red light. If you have anybody that's listening to this, you saw earlier this week, a lot of the local clubs put on, I think they called it red alert, right, for Save Our Events, because it's not just those musicians. For every musician that's on stage, there's 2 roadies and a sound tech and a light guy and 3 waitresses and 4 bartenders. And, the ecosystem around the music scene is immense, right? And so, all of those, they're all shut down right now. Yes, you got the small, and I'll get to plug in places like the Breakers, which are able to have, stuff down in your area and have some bands, but that's because you can social distance, 50 people. You can't social distance 2,500 people. So we moved it online. And so at 7 p.m. On September 16th, if you visit joeysong.org or the Joey Song Facebook page, we're going to try to recreate a Joey Song concert online. So what we've got is a whole bunch, and we're trying to find the silver lining in it. We got a bunch of artists that we've been trying to get to come to Madison for the live show that we couldn't, who are able to send us videos. So they all went down in their basement and, turned on their equipment and recorded tracks just for us. These are all performances, just for Joey Song. And you'll hear a lot of them in their introduction talk about why they're doing this and why Joey Song is important to them. So in a second, we can talk about who's going to be there and what you're going to see. But you can donate now, right? We are taking donations now. So if you go to that joeysong.org page, there'll be a button to click for the live event. And right now it's all set up to take donations. Or we're also taking donations by text. You can text Joey Song, JoeySsong, to 44321. I'm sure Stu will have this in the link somewhere below it. And you text that, and you still get to decide the amount you want to give. A lot of people have asked that question. It doesn't automatically take anything off of your phone bill. It just takes you to a page where you choose your amount, choose how you want to pay for it. And if you're on your phone, it'll do Apple Pay or Google Pay or PayPal. It's real simple. It's about 2 mouse clicks.
I'll have to look into that. That's pretty cool.
And you can, it's real simple and it's real easy. Especially if you use Apple Pay or Google Pay and you're on your phone, it's literally 2 clicks and you've made your donation of any amount that you want to make. So that's how you can help today. And I would encourage people, if our story moves you, if our cause of trying to fund research into epilepsy moves you, or programs and services, do it today, because, the night of the show, hopefully all of these musicians, who I am about to tell you about, are going to be using their social media and getting their fans as well. So we're hoping to have, thousands and thousands of eyeballs on this on Wednesday night. And I would love for people to not have any problems getting through to make their donations. So that's when, if you spread it all out over 2 weeks, you minimize that. Whereas if instead of 1,000 people all trying to make a donation on that night. So if our story moves you, a donation of any size makes a big difference.
So you would advise not to send your donation through the mail? I'm here all night.
Yeah, thank you. Put your weight down.
No, but Mike, where could listeners find? Please give us your website and all the ways to get a hold of you.
Yep. So again, if you go to joeysong.org and click on when you land right on the page, right, there's a button that says I think go to the live event or visit the live event. If you click on that, there's a video, about a 3-minute video. Unfortunately, it features my ugly mug for a lot of it, talking about the events, but there's some clips from some of the artists. It lists all of the folks that are going to be playing that night. That's a real great way to, in 3 minutes, to kind of get caught up on what the event's going to be. So joeysong.org is your quickest way to do it. There's also a Joey Song Facebook page and has all of the information as well. And those are going to be the two places where you can actually watch the show. And the show is free. There is no cost. You don't have to make a donation. There's no cost to watch it. We're hoping that between the artists and then some of the little PSAs we got in between, it'll move folks to want to contribute.
And I asked Club 400 members, the people that come to our events, to get involved, even if it's $5, $10, $15, $20. Every little bit helps. I consider Joey Song they're part of Club 400. And Mike, it's always awesome to have you on the air. I just wanted to tell you one more thing, buddy. Let's go back to the baseball game. Hartman asked me to do a few jobs. Well, I took it upon myself, right? Now, I know you're not on my team, but I hired the umpires, all right? So just want to let you know, okay?
Did you grease the umpires too already, or what?
So, yeah, if they're eating steak over here that night afterwards,
sad.
and you guys are eating hot dogs, you'll know why, because McVicker team won, all right?
Well, you started out by saying, Stu, it's who you know. It's not what you know.
Exactly. So. But, Mike, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and we're looking forward to your event coming up September, what was it again?
September 16th.
September 16th. Yep, that's what it was. Yep.
joeysong.org.
I was going to say September 19th, but that's actually the baseball game. But so September 16th. That's right. That's a Wednesday night. You'll hear about it. You'll see all about it on all of our pages, and we'll put the donate button up there too. And Mike, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I know we'll have you on again down the line, and many more memories and things to come for us for sure. And appreciate your time tonight.
And I appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing both of you on the field September 19th. Well, William behind the microphone, and you on the field. It's gonna be fun. I really appreciate you letting me get the word out about obviously a charity that is about as near and dear to my heart as it possibly could be.
For sure, and we're looking forward to it. And one day, well, I'll see you on the 19th, but one day we're going to get together and have a party, man. That's for sure. Yep. And we'll get some live music, and we'll get it back, because that's one thing I miss more than anything is getting together in groups of people and not worrying about stuff. Every time you do go out, you worry about things. So, but thanks a lot again, Mike. We will talk to you soon. Love you, buddy. September 16th, Wednesday night, Joey Song online. Check it out. We'll have it posted, links all over Club 400. Thanks, guys.
Sean Connery here to tell you about one of the newest sponsors of the Club 400 podcast, Jeppson's Malort. It is the unofficial beverage of Chicago, named for Swedish immigrant Carl Jeppson, who brought the drink to America. While we can mostly all agree that Malort tastes, unsavory, we can't all seem to agree the specific way in which the liquor ravages our taste buds. Malort tastes like fertilizer, except it doesn't grow on you. The wall of Malort at Nice Lounge in Wrigleyville. Or Malort tastes like a baby aspirin wrapped in a grapefruit peel, bound with rubber bands, and then soaked in well gin. Sam Meckling, marketing director for Jeppson's Malort, to Inked magazine. And it's like swallowing a burnt condom full of gas. Jason Sudeikis, character Gene in Drinking Buddies. Just a few of the descriptions of this indescribable taste sensation.
All right, Sam's going to sing you a song by the Beatles.
Yep.
that he handpicked. And we're going to do it for you right now.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Nobody ever loved me like she does. She does. Yes, she does. And if somebody loved me like she does, she does. Yes, she does. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. I'm in love for the first time. Don't you know it's gonna last? It's a love that lasts forever. It's a love that has no past. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. And from the first time that she really done me, she done me good. I guess nobody ever really done me. She done me good. Don't let me down. 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 Thank you.